This is an HR program on demand, a living seed capsule of work life and workplace coming live from a rooftop in Stockholm, Sweden. It's me, Ann-Marie Andrich, and
me, Katarina Berg.
A vodcast, if you like, on HR, straight across the counter. Sponsored by HR The Real Deal, HR by HR for HR. Hello, Arvid.
Hi, thank you for having me here.
It's fantastic to have you. And I have to say to you, this is actually a very special episode because this is the first time I'm on the left side.
And it's the first time I'm on the right side.
Exactly. God, we will not go into why this happened, but equally, I'm so really excited to have you here, Arvid, because you head up the Comp and Ben, and I know that you say something else, and you will share that in a minute. And HR Insights at Spotify. And Katarina and I tried in an earlier episode to talk about total rewards and how you go about Comp and Ben, and then we realized we don't know this. Let's talk to the person who knows, which is you, Arvid. So welcome to the HR VOD.
Thank you, and I think you did great. By the way, I was surprised how great Katarina was in this area. So thank you for helping her.
Maybe she has a very good partner in crime. I'm sure that she has, which is you, obviously. So why don't we start with you sharing a little bit about who you are and also what you do at Spotify?
Yeah, sure. So I've been at Spotify in 7 years, and I oversee what we call total compensation and HR insights. So that is global mobility, HRIS, people analytics, compensation, and benefits.
That's a huge responsibility and a very important responsibility as well.
I have great people that do most of the work.
Yeah, you have a team as well. So when you say, you said total compensation.
Right.
Why do you say total compensation? Is there a reason for that?
I think the reason is because it's kind of, then you have all the pieces, because usually I mean, it's also a little bit geographically. I mean, in US, it's common that you divide like compensation and benefits, and you work in different streams. Mm-hmm. And you could also have equity on the side. It could sit elsewhere. And mobility, of course. So that's why we kind of see it as a total thing,
right.
Looking at everything at once.
Right, excellent. And so 7 years you've been in the company. Yeah, that's quite a number of years, and I'm sure that where you were 7 years ago and where you are today, and the whole journey up until now. I'm sure that you've done quite a bit of thinking and development on your compensation philosophy or your total rewards philosophy. Anything that you can elaborate with us on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think most companies need to make a journey. I mean, when you start a company with 2 people, it's quite straightforward. You take half the company each, and then you go from there. Yeah. And we were around 1,000 people when I joined, and now we are plus 7,000 people, and moving into more and more countries. So it has to evolve. And then I also had the luxury to be part of the kind of private time in the company that moved over to a public environment. So that's also kind of a milestone for kind of comp people, and how do you operate while private, and how do you do it when you are a public company. Yeah. So we have been in and fine-tuning and did some larger tuning as well during the years.
So tell us about that tuning that you've been doing.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Of course. Yeah, and I think one thing that I'm proud of so many things, and have a lot of ahead of us to be even more proud of it. But looking back, I think one of the things that I am really proud of is our incentive mix program, and you could say, I mean, we had the opportunity to kind of really dig into our long-term incentive plan and equity programs, and usually when you do that, you kind of have 2 kind of main roads to walk, and I mean the most common road, I would say, is that the biggest owners in the company basically tell you this is how we do in our companies, and then you nod and you implement. So that's like the traditional way to rethink long-term incentive programs. And then if you're slightly more modern, you think there could be something better, and you start to ask people. Mm-hmm. So you send out surveys and really try to understand like what motivates you, and how can we get kind of most motivation per dollar spent, because that's what it's all about. Mm-hmm. How can you find like the best balance out of that? And if you do that very well, you will find out that it differs a lot. People are very, very different. So you're likely to come up with, like, some people want a very stable income with little volatility and little risk. We can say they are here. And then at the other side of that kind of line, you have people that are risk takers, and they understand that the more risk I take, the more reward I can get.
Right.
And then when you have surveyed all these people and you need to kind of design something that is good, you typically end up in the middle with something that is averagely pleasing, and people here hates it, it sucks, and people up here hate it even more.
Right.
So that's where you end up if you're a modern. So we were kind of a team that looked into this, like how can we do this differently? And then we kind of come up to the basic conclusion that if we let these people choose what they like and these people to choose what they like, then we are likely to get more motivation per dollar spent. So that's how we ended up in our incentive mix program.
So and I find this so fascinating, and when you talk about it, it's like it's common sense, right?
Yeah.
But then, given that you are the expert, have you seen this? Is this special for Spotify, or is this something that you also see out in the market, that you have this incentive mix that you can choose?
You have some variances of it,
Yeah.
where you can mix certain parts,
Right.
and you have the kind of the most famous version of it is the way that Netflix operates.
Right.
But they kind of start from a cash perspective, and then you can choose to kind of buy stock options in their program.
Right.
So that one is out there, and I've seen a few more examples, but it's not very common. But I think it will be.
Yeah, I think so as well, because it makes sense when you describe it, right?
Yeah, it makes sense. Then it has a lot of trade-offs, of course, because I mean, you know, in the world today, it's pretty hard to go in and make all these choices every day, because you can choose like what you want to see on TV, what you want to eat, and what you want to listen to, and all that. So a lot of people don't want to choose. So we kind of guide them with what we think is kind of a good default mix. But what's cool with our program is that if you take the people that want to take the most risk, then we have like an out of the money option, which is kind of very aggressive. And the upside you have of that kind of instrument is what you typically see in private companies. So if the company really makes it, you're going to make more money than you expected.
Right.
And then at the other end, we have a pure cash plan, where you just kind of know exactly what's going to happen the following 4 years every month. And then we have a few options in between.
It almost sounds like you need a broker.
Yeah.
Is this? So I was just thinking, you know, if I was an employee at Spotify and I would need some sort of guidance or support on how to think about this, where would I go? Would I go to your team then, or where would I go?
Yeah, we have trainings and obviously a lot of booklets, but also trainings where you can participate. But it's also a tricky one. It's similar. I mean, if you take like pension as another example, where you're going to make a choice that have an impact in the future, you can only guide people so far, because they need to own their own decision, because it will have an impact. And I was very nervous when we implemented this a couple of years ago, that people that kind of picked the wrong choice would come after me and be like, why didn't you pick for me?
Right.
And I met a few people that had kind of betted on the wrong, but they seemed to be happy anyway.
Right.
And understand it and
Yeah.
you know, living with their choices.
Right. But yeah, and to that point, Arvid, I think that this obviously requires quite a lot from your team, that you explain this reward philosophy or the incentive mix in a good way, and that people understand, right? So that they don't get angry, as you said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So and what has been? So you said that when you launched this a few years ago, have you developed it since you launched it, or does it sort of stay the same?
We've done some tweaks, and I think one of the most recent tweaks is that when we launched it, we as everything in Spotify happens pretty fast, and then we kind of learn and fine tune. So Diane, that is overseeing this equity program today, and she's very kind of into this kind of how to educate and train people, and the way we did it was that we were very eager to grant people as soon as possible. So they had to make the choice before they enter the company. And Diane said kind of the obvious thing, that how on earth do you expect me to educate people before I even meet them?
Right.
So that is one tweak we have done, that we wait so we can have the chance to meet people before they do it. So that's one of them.
Excellent. Brilliant. And then we have the Work from Anywhere program that you launched during this autumn. And I know that you worked very hard in that program, and you looked at it from all of the angles. Not only you go to an office, do you choose the home mix or the office mix, but you also spent quite a lot of time on the compensation and adjusting that to the program. Anything that you can share on that with us?
I think one question that often comes up is this kind of around global salaries. I mean, why isn't the world exactly the same? And I think that's a super interesting question and a philosophical question. I mean, why is market movement in Argentina 35% this year when it's only 2.5% in some countries in Europe? Why is it so? And there is a huge kind of macroeconomic answer to that. But that is the world. And then from a company standpoint, for us, kind of most companies are getting more and more global. At the same time, governments aren't on that same fast train, getting more and more protective and more careful about the tax money and then how they want to run their countries, which makes it kind of hard. But we see kind of US as one country. So there we have kind of harmonized and working within the same kind of concept, so you can move around. But if you then move from like Argentina to Sweden, we operate on local levels for the obvious reasons that the market movement looks totally different.
Okay, great, excellent, good. Any other? Since I have the expert here, and this is such an interesting area and sometimes also hard. Are there any? What are the current trends out there in the market with regards to total rewards or rewards philosophy or comp and ben? What would you say? What's cooking out there?
Yeah, what's cooking out there, exactly. That's a good one. I think, I mean, you met Gary, and I think the analytic piece, I mean, how can we understand more about people and how can we understand that nothing is isolated, everything is part of a bigger system. So I think on the analytics side, things are happening. Mm-hmm. It's also obviously on communication, which I think has been a hot topic for 20 years and will be the coming years, obviously. Then you have the debate around choices. I mean, where I think it makes perfectly sense in an incentive mix to have a choice. I'm not a big fan of the kind of, back in the days we used to call it kind of cafeteria benefits. Today I call it kind of Groupon benefits, which I'm not a huge fan of.
What was the difference? What is cafeteria benefits?
No, it's the same. It's basically that you kind of help employees through portals to spend a lot of their money before they even have it. Uh-huh. That's how I describe it, which isn't a great sales pitch. So I think that the challenge for companies and people like myself is to help people to save money and I mean, they need money for the future and it's not we shouldn't help them to, spend more and more. We should be more kind of financial education, which I think will be something that will grow and become bigger. Kind of doesn't sound super interesting, but but that's what I think. And then obviously you always have this kind of what is our company philosophy and what is our kind of core benefits and how can we work more with them. Right, excellent.
Great.
Yes.
Very good. And you mentioned Gary. And we've had Gary twice on this VOD. Oh, Gary.
That's good.
Yeah,
we should have him again.
Yeah, we will definitely have Gary again. I think the work that he's doing with this team is amazing, and obviously he's part of your team. How do you collaborate with the HR insights when you look at total rewards?
I would say we are in the beginning of that journey. Mm-hmm. So we are collaborating on a daily basis. I mean, we are part of a wider team, so we have a lot of interactions all the time. But this is one of the areas where I'm most excited about the coming years because it's easy to forget. I mean, when you look at where we are today, I mean, it's a lot of work behind the scenes. Yeah. And I mean, our HRIS department is they have spent so much blood and sweat into this project to just have all the basics there. And it's the same with the comp people. So we have our data lined up and we are doing a lot of analytics on it. But we also need to do more. And in some areas where we don't have scale enough, I mean, if you really want to do find this kind of correlations between different things, You need to have bigger data sets, like how people make their choices and so on. And
Right. I'm sure you'll get there.
yes, we will.
I'm sure you will. And we will have the opportunity of inviting you back to
Yes.
tell us the findings, right? So one final question before we close. I mean, companies are going into the comp review season now, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure, given your role, that there are quite a maybe I'm making an assumption now.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm projecting myself here. Maybe probably what I'm doing. If I had an Arvid in my life who was doing this, and I was, going into the comp review with my manager, I would probably say, Arvid, any tips, any recommendations now, to get that higher salary? What would you say to me then?
I have those friends.
You do?
Yeah, I do. I do.
see?
I think I can make a living of it when I'm done with Spotify to kind of coach people. No, but I think that I guess there is, you can read the blogs and the books but I think, I mean, we have in our board one of our board members is Barry, and he used to be our CFO, and I admired him for kind of saying a lot with very few words. In a very American way, when he in a town hall, when he got a question around like I don't remember exactly how the question was phrased, but it was around like what should we do to increase our share price? And Barry answered, if we take care of the business, the share price will take care of itself.
Right.
And I was when he said it, and I listened to it a few times in my head, I was just starting to smiling because I was like, shit, that's how I guide people. So I guess the answer is like, if you take care of your growth, the cash will follow. And it's like a short one. If you take care of your growth, and the cash will follow. But it's also more kind of, you need to do some real thinking around what that means, because we kind of get lost when we grow up. Because most people are like, when they are 16, if they make a choice, do I want to maximize cash today? And if the answer is yes, you drop school and you start to work, because then you're a big winner. And most people stay in school, and then you have the next kind of big event when I'm going to university, borrow money, or shall I just drop and make money? And you choose kind of your long-term growth again, if you're on that path. And then you kind of have that you need to ask yourself that question over and over again, because you always have a choice to make more money in the short run or bet on your long-term growth.
Right.
And then the question is, when should I kind of start to optimize for cash? And the answer I usually give is that I think the perfect sweet spot between 16 and 70 is like 68, probably.
Right.
But if you start to try to optimize earlier, you will have a win, and the win can be like 1, 2, 3, 4 years. But if you look at most people that I've seen, and I've seen a few resumes, and I've seen a lot of numbers, most of the people that are making a lot of money, they have spent a lot of time in companies to bet on their own growth.
Right.
So that's kind of
That's wisdom.
Yeah. That's wisdom.
That's wisdom coming from Arvid. Everyone should have Arvid in their life.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
Ask my wife.
It's really good. Thank you so much, Arvid, for sharing with us. I'm sure that we will invite you back.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you. You know how we end these ones with the 3 things?
I know.
Would you be ready?
I am ready.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah. Stay safe, stay strong, and stay active.
Idemodalje.
Idemodalje.
Very good, you did it! Fantastic! Arvid,
Thank you.
thank you! Ja, men hjärtat sitter ju till vänster.
Ja.
Ja, nu är den ju för fan på väg ut åt vänster.
Ja.
Helt och hållet. Ja. Fan vilket väder. Nej men vi väljer glädje.
Ja, det gör vi.
Absolut. Arvid.
Yes.
You're just Arvid.
I'm Arvid. Yes.
You say Arvid.
Arvid.
Vi säger du Arvid.
Jag säger det sällan. Folk vet vem det är.
Ja. Men när du säger Arvid, gör du en engelsk variant då?
Men det beror på. Och då säger jag Arvid.
Arvid. Ja. Men du är ju Arvid.
Ja, Arvid.